back to Cryptic, everybody. Today, I made an iceberg, and I'm taking credit for this iceberg. I haven't seen anybody cover this as an iceberg yet. So, it's the missing 411 phenomena. I love the missing 411 phenomena. Chase, I think you enjoy it too.
Yeah,
It's
it is good.
it's the topic of people going missing in national parks and forests, and they disappear in like strange circumstances or are found later in like unexplained places. Um, there's a lot of factors that go into how somebody gets lost in the forest or how if they're ever found or if they're not found. I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities for what's going on here that aren't very mysterious. But without the answers, a lot of these cases lead you to some very puzzling directions. So I have a lot of fun learning about missing 411 cases. And so I think we'll just get into it. You got any thoughts, Chase?
Not starting, although I did take a look at the iceberg, and I can say it seems like it's going to be pretty chilly, man. You didn't cook on this one, you froze. So, in a
Hell
good
yeah.
way, in a good way.
Deep
Yeah, I'm
freeze.
looking through. It's looking pretty solid, so I'm excited to go through and discuss some of these topics.
First up is David Paulides. And this iceberg wouldn't be possible, and the missing 411 topic itself really wouldn't be talked about without David Paulides. He is a former law enforcement officer and investigator who gained prominence through his missing 411 research. He's the guy who named the phenomenon. And I believe it's a reference to old-timey phone directories. You call 411 to get information, so it's essentially saying like missing information. I believe that's where he got the idea from.
That makes
He be-
sense. Kind of like there's 811 and stuff like that. Call
yeah,
before you dig. All the
yeah.
yeah, all the other ones.
He began his career as a police officer in San Jose, but later becoming a detective before leaving traditional law enforcement and shifting his focus into writing and independent research, ultimately publishing the Missing 411 book series and producing documentaries on the subject. And I gotta say, the documentaries are very fascinating if you're interested in learning more. They got one of the better documentary, or at least the one I've seen, has Les Stroud, the Survivor Man, in it, and it's a fun watch. But yeah, David Paulides is the OG guy who came up with Missing 411, and so within Missing 411, what makes a missing persons case a Missing 411 case is the similarities it has with other Missing 411 cases, and we'll get into that. You'll see what I'm talking about. For instance, our next entry, which is weather anomalies. Weather anomalies often cited as a puzzling factor that complicates disappearances and search efforts. So Paulides has documented instances where sudden, extreme weather shifts, such as unseasonable fog, violent storms, or rapid temperature drops, coincide with vanishings. And this will hinder rescue operations or erase evidence of where the person could have gone, right? So a lot of these cases, the person will disappear. They'll get research, or they'll get search and rescue on the case, and then clear skies will turn stormy. And then when the search is done for the day, it'll like clear up again, and then the person will be gone. This is just one of the things where it's documented over and over again with these strange disappearances that weather will go crazy when the search starts.
So it's just a little too often for it to be considered like coincidence.
Theoretically, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Gotcha. It feels more consistent with each of these cases that ends up pulling up.
Right. Right. And it's some of these cases is like incredibly extreme. We'll get into it. Next entry on our list is scent dog failures. So another one of these that reoccur with these cases is scent dogs exhibit unusual behavior when they're on the trail, either losing the scent abruptly, circling aimlessly, or refusing to track altogether. Some reports describe dogs picking up a scent only to stop suddenly as if the person vanished into thin air, while others show canines acting distressed or confused in specific areas where the missing individual was last seen. Paulides highlights these failures as particularly strange, given that many of the missing were in environments where scent preservation should have been optimal, such as damp forests or snowy terrain.
Interesting. So when you were first bringing that up, I was thinking maybe some of the weather anomalies might play into it as far as causing an issue with the dogs being able to pick up a scent. But even in, it sounds like more calmer, controlled cases, that's still happening where they aren't able to do their functions.
Yeah, yeah, it seems because with these cases, it can either have like two of the strange anomalies that tie up all these cases, or it can have all of them. But sometimes it'll just be maybe the weather's not weird, but the dog won't pick up any scent and all that. So, next entry is National Park Service cover up. So, this one's a bit silly, but in the missing 411 community, there is a theory that argues that the National Park Service deliberately withholds information, downplays mysterious aspects of cases, and can even suppress evidence to avoid public panic, legal liability, or scrutiny over their search and rescue protocols. Some claim that park officials have refused to release full case files, mishandled investigations, or dismissed family concerns without adequate explanation. So, Paulides has suggested over and over again that the NPS may be hiding something. Whether it is the true number of disappearances or some sort of phenomena that the public isn't known of. We'll get into this later, but there is something weird, and we'll get into it later. It's about the Freedom of Information Act. It's another one on this list, but it seems to be borderline impossible to get all of the information from the National Park Service. Whether that's because of some cover up or just because it's a underfunded public service. I don't know, but that's there's a lot of weird things going on with the Park Service. That Paulides seems to have beef with them because when he investigates these cases, he'll be like, okay, can I please have all of your information on this case? And sometimes there will be stuff that's even redacted. Like redacted like the CIA does, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some weird stuff going on here.
On the surface though, that would make sense. Like you kind of touched base on it for public concern and things like that, or to save face for the National Park Services. It would make sense if they wouldn't want to release all the information on, well, a gruesome case because they don't want to dissuade people from coming to the national parks, or even worse, have a reason for like the national parks to be defunded because they're not a safe place anymore, and then just go and fucking log and clear cut everything. Oh wait, that's already happening. But separate.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that I feel like that would make sense, that they would need to go and scrub documents to an extent. I'm not saying I approve of it, but especially if they're having to work with higher up agencies like the CIA or anything like that for whatever reason, I would totally understand that they wouldn't end up giving out that information. So, makes sense. Yeah. It's unfortunate because, well, you just don't get to hear all the fun details.
Yeah, I would imagine most of this is just underfunded. And, like, the Park Service isn't, like, an investigation service. It's not like the FBI or the CIA, so it's not entirely mysterious to me, but it is something I gotta bring up because it is pretty prevalent in these where the information just is withheld sometimes. Okay, next entry is granite and water. So the connection between granite and water is recurring and a rather intriguing element in missing 411 cases, often cited by Paulides as a potential factor in disappearances. Many of the vanishings he documents occur in areas with significant granite rock formations, such as boulder fields, cliffs, or mountainous terrain, and near bodies of water, including streams, lakes, or rivers. Paulides suggests that these geological features may play a role in the disappearances, though the exact mechanism remains unexplained. One theory posits that granite, being rich in quartz and other conductive minerals, could interact with electromagnetic forces or even unknown energy fields, potentially affecting human perception and maybe electronic equipment. So again, Paulides, he's looking through like every missing person case in national forests he can find, and then he's trying to connect the dots of similarities in these cases. And yeah, it makes sense there'd be a lot of water and granite fields in like natural forests, but this is one of the connections here. This is the top
Yeah,
layer,
it's
right?
just a commonality that kind of runs through a lot of the topics, right? Or a lot of the disappearances. And
Right.
that's just kind
Yeah.
of what he's looking for here.
Yeah.
Granted, isn't granite a fairly abundant substance? And I mean, I don't know about water, but it seems like that might be relatively common. Why I'm kind of curious why
Yeah.
isn't air or trees on this list too? But
Well,
we'll see how that goes.
all right. Next up is missing shoes. So one of the most frequently noted details in missing 411 cases is the discovery of missing individuals, often deceased, found without their shoes or with their footwear meticulously placed nearby in a manner that defies logical explanation. So Paulides highlights numerous instances where hikers, hunters, or children vanish in wilderness areas, only to be recovered miles away in rugged terrain, but they're barefoot or their shoes are missing entirely. Despite conditions that would make voluntary removal impractical or dangerous, even, in some cases, shoes are found neatly arranged, sometimes tied together, as if deliberately placed rather than lost in a struggle or accident. So there's a lot of weird shoe things in these cases. We'll get into it more. But a lot of the times, people will not have their shoes, whether they're found dead or alive, which is just, if you're in the wilderness, you're not going to take off your shoes. It's just a strange thing. Whether it's supernatural or not, it's a very strange thing to do.
It just sounds like we got a mad case of sneakerheads here. If you got like a pair of Air Jordans or something, you're going hiking, you're about to die. I mean, at least be courteous. Take the shoes off and set them to the side, right? You
Yeah,
want to make
don't
sure those
scuff
stay
them.
pristine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
don't scuff them.
You're a
Yeah.
hunter, you have like a $500 pair of boots. If you get murdered, sure, probably gonna have your freaking shoes jacked, man. Those $500 pair of boots. I don't know about you. I'd like a nice pair of boots or a pair of Air Jordans that I find with the laces tied together, just nicely presented on a rock. That'd be great.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. All right. Next entry on our list is cluster zones. So cluster zones refers to specific geographic areas where an unusually high number of disappearances occur under mysterious circumstances. So Paulides has identified multiple such zones across North America, particularly within national parks and dense wilderness regions, where cases share eerie similarities despite occurring decades apart. So this is just some zones, for instance, are Yosemite, the Great Smoky Mountains, and the Oregon Cascades. So even within the larger structure of the Forest Service and the wildlands we have in America, which is already a hotbed for disappearances because it's the wilderness, within that there are zones where it happens more frequently.
Do we have any more information on that? Because sure, we can say that it's like a haunt zone, but Yosemite is a pretty massive place. So, if are we talking about the entirety of? And I'm just using Yosemite as a an example because it was listed here. But are we talking about the entirety, or are we talking about just a small, like 1 mile radius that is there were like 10 cases over the past 5 years or something like that?
I'm pretty sure it would be a large scale, so it'd be like all of Yosemite.
I feel like that is I don't know. That one's definitely tip of the iceberg. I know that we're there. Technically, we're even in the clear skies right now, so this is pretty nice. But people are just dumb. When you go to a national forest, like you're saying, if it's the wilderness, some people are just gonna go and kind of die because, well, they think they're smarter than they are, or they have better survival skills because they watched season 1 through 5 of Survivor and thought, I can do this.
Yeah.
And, well, they can't.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Last on tier 1 is paradoxical undressing. So, paradoxical undressing is a medically documented phenomenon often observed in fatal hypothermia cases, where victims in a state of severe cold-induced confusion remove their clothing despite freezing temperatures, paradoxically accelerating their death. This phenomenon becomes particularly eerie when examined through the lens of missing 411 cases, where recovered bodies are sometimes found partially or fully nude under circumstances that defy logical explanation. So this is just another entry of scientific fact that can happen in these missing 411 cases. Paradoxical
sure. And
undressing.
I mean, that kind of tracks with when you end up getting like hypothermia, your body starts feeling warm, right? So
Yeah,
the colder you get, the hotter you feel. And then, yeah.
exactly.
So makes sense, makes sense.
All right, we're hitting the tip of the iceberg now, dude.
Let's
Tier
go, just the
2.
tip.
Just the tip. First entry is experienced outdoorsman. So the recurring disappearance of experienced outdoorsmen in missing 411 cases is one of the most baffling and unsettling aspects of the phenomenon. These individuals, seasoned hunters, hikers, park rangers, and survival experts, vanish under circumstances that defy their extensive training and intimate knowledge of wilderness terrain. Unlike novice adventurers who might succumb to environmental hazards, like we were just talking about, you saw some Survivor, these victims possess skills that should theoretically prevent such tragedies, making their disappearances even more inexplicable. And so we'll get into some of those cases, but yeah, a lot of the cases he focuses on, because he's trying to find the most mysterious ones, right, are guys who have been hunting their whole life, or even are park rangers, and they still go missing, and are either never found or found in a place where they should have known they should not be going towards, right? Like up a mountain, where it's obvious, even if you weren't a hunter who's hunted in this area your whole life, you should already know if you were trying to leave the mountains, you don't go up the mountain, right? So things like this. Experienced outdoorsman.
It kind of has me curious, though, as far as the experienced outdoorsman goes. Sure, with time, typically you get better with something, right? But who gives these people their credentials? Like, I could probably lie my way into a park ranger position, especially given some time and the services. I have no clue about anything outdoor. I go outdoor for more than a half an hour. I get a freaking sunburn, man. I'm pale as a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. So I'm kind of thinking like McDojo life here. You can fake your way to being called an expert, and
Yeah, that's true.
well,
That's definitely true for some of these. I think for like the hunters, I think it's less likely true for the park rangers, because there is a case where a guy was like a 20-year park ranger, I think, and we'll get into that. I don't know if
he
it's in this.
probably has some experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but I was,
Yeah.
because, I've gone hunting a few times, and I imagined if I went missing, and there was like maybe the scent dogs couldn't find me or something, and they'd be like, it was a seasoned hunter, and it's just my dumbass just like tripping and breaking my neck or something.
Well, yeah. I mean,
A seasoned
it's.
hunter, yeah.
I feel
No.
like a handful, not all of these, but I feel like a handful of the cases with true experienced people, it could be overestimating their own abilities and
Yeah.
while trying to tackle something that they think in their head they could do, but in reality they couldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
But I
definitely
guess we'll see.
possible. All right. Next up on tier 2 is our first case, Jared Atadero. The disappearance of Jared Atadero is one of the most haunting and frequently cited cases in the missing 411 canon, encapsulating nearly all the eerie hallmarks of the phenomenon. On October 2nd, 1999, the 3-year-old boy vanished without a trace during a family hike near the Big South Trail in Colorado's Comanche Peak Wilderness. Despite being surrounded by a group of 14 adults and children, Jared, last seen running ahead of a well-marked path, disappeared in a matter of minutes. His case defies conventional explanation and remains steeped in unsettling details. Some details about this is Jared was in clear view of the group moments before he disappeared. The terrain was open with no steep drops or dense foliage to obscure a search. Over 1,000 personnel, helicopters, and tracking dogs scoured the area. Scent dogs picked up his trail but abruptly lost it near a creek, missing a common trope. And people will be like, "Yeah, well, the kid went through the creek and it messed up the dog trail." Dogs do not. Scent dogs, if you've seen like the Mythbusters episode where they try like 10 different tactics to fool a scent dog, a creek is not doing it. It just goes straight through the creek. Scent dogs are insane with their abilities, dude.
And granted, I haven't seen this episode, and that would be true as well. Like, if you tried to wash yourself off, granted, just using, like, creek water, you
I would
wouldn't be
think
able to
so,
get rid of
yeah.
your scent.
Well,
Yeah.
because they like fully submerged and then they would like go down the creek even and then come out later. The dog is not fooled. At least, I think that, yeah, these dogs are insane how good they are. Um, a sudden snowstorm hit the search area the next day, hampering efforts. Weather anomaly, we've talked about this. Nearly 3 years later, in 2002, a hiker found Jared's remains scattered on a steep, rocky slope less than 2 miles from where he vanished. Only his skull, a few bones, and one shoe were recovered. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation declared his death the result of an animal attack, but critical inconsistencies fueled skepticism. For one, the remains showed no tooth marks, and Jared's clothing, found intact nearby, bore no rips or blood. One sneaker was never found, echoing the missing footwear motif. And the remains were in an area repeatedly searched, including by Jared's own father, who had scoured that very slope days after the disappearance. So these are the things. This is one of the missing 411 cases where it's like, yeah, a kid got lost, but then you got these details that add up, where it's like the dogs couldn't find him, the weather changed, but the dog's not being able to find him. And then he was found in an area that's also a common. I don't know if I have this on the Iceberg. Common trope is they're found after an area that they've already searched multiple times. Right. So that was the case of Jared Atadero, also disappearing without a bunch of foliage around. So
That is
I
both
mean,
strange and very sad.
it is very sad. Yeah, it is strange, man. There's a dude. Maybe there's like a fucking giant velociraptor that we don't know about that comes in and swoops children up or something. Because I mean, how are you gonna disappear in an open area? 1,000 people search for you with dogs, and what did I say? Helicopters? Yeah, and not find you. It doesn't make much sense. And that's really that's the heart of missing 411 for me, is that like whatever's happening, whether it be supernatural or not, it's the insane details of just like how did that happen?
Yeah,
Even
that
if it was
all, like,
yeah.
well, yeah, you can start thinking of some type of reasoning behind, okay, maybe this happened or maybe that happened, but then you get more details and it's like, no, that isn't probable. And, well, that also debunks the other idea. Like when you were talking about he just suddenly disappeared. I know you were joking by saying a pterodactyl, but I was genuinely thinking maybe a large bird. I don't know
Yeah.
how much a 3-year-old weighs, but maybe he was tiny and maybe the bird was really big. But then, as you were giving more details, saying that there was no blood on his clothes weren't damaged either, I was like, it seems very unlikely that a bird would be able to pick him up, probably drop him somewhere, and there'd be no blood on his, well, clothes or any type of damage to them.
And not only that, dude. If you're swooped up, let's say not even a giant bird, but a bear. Let's say a bear. I've seen bears run across the road. They are incredibly fast. A bear runs across the trail, snatches his ass, keeps going. Right? You're gonna hear that unless
Yeah,
the
you'll hear it, and
bear,
the dog should be able to pick it up
the
too, right?
dog, you would be able to hear the kid scream. It's like the you would hear the bear running too, but I mean like the kid screaming too. It's like nobody heard a scream. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to miss that.
Next entry, people found in impossible places. We kind of just touched on this. One of the most perplexing aspects of missing 411 cases involves the discovery of missing individuals in locations that defy logic, either previously searched, inaccessible without extreme effort, like climbing a sheer cliff or something that just doesn't make sense. Or, yeah. So these impossible placement cases challenge conventional search and rescue protocols because, when the search and rescue comes out, they try and logically plan the easiest route. Because typically, if you're lost, you're going to like go the easiest route downhill, you know. And so it's, yeah. And then sometimes they're even found in seasonal locations that would have been impassable at the time of disappearance, like snowfields. Like they would be found in an area where they shouldn't have been able to get to because there would have been too much snow. And it's like, yeah. Anyways, people found in impossible places. That'll come up again later.
So
Next
just kind
up,
of laying the groundwork for some of the other cases that we're going to be getting into.
yeah, I'm sprinkling in more of the, because it's only tier 2, more of the themes as well as the cases. All right, next entry is Native American legends. So the missing 411 phenomena intersects eerily with some Native American legends, as many disappearances occur in regions steeped in indigenous lore about supernatural forces or malevolent entities. Tribal oral traditions often describe these areas as taboo or spiritually dangerous. These being zones where some people vanish, strange lights appear. These legends passed down for generations offer a chilling parallel to modern missing 411 cases. So some key legends linked to missing 411 hotspots are the Little People. Many tribes, including the Cherokee, Navajo, and Salish, tell of small, elusive beings who inhabit remote forests and mountains. Described as either mischievous or vengeful, they are said to abduct humans, particularly children, leading them astray or into hidden underground realms. Skinwalkers and shapeshifters, I got this later on the list too. In Navajo tradition, skinwalkers are malevolent witches capable of transforming into animals. They're said to stalk the wilderness, causing harm or abducting travelers. There have been some reports of unnaturally large bipedal creatures near missing 411 cluster zones. We'll get into that. Star people and sky spirits. Several tribes, like the Lakota and the Hopi, speak of celestial beings who descend from the sky, sometimes taking humans with them. And this kind of parallels with some unexplained lights or sudden fog in missing 411 cases. And then there's even some portal legends. So sacred sites like the Superstition Mountains in Arizona or the Devil's Tower in Wyoming are said to house gateways to other worlds. Tribal warnings to avoid these places align with high numbers of vanishings there. So, I don't want to speak on Native American stuff because I don't know anything about it, but this is what people say, is that there's some Native American legends that coincide with the areas that people disappear in.
Interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's spoken or oral tradition or like stories that are passed down for a while, they originated somewhere, right? So there has to be
Yeah.
some truth behind them. At least,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be interested to actually get to the bottom of it. As far as a handful of the places that you were saying, or some of the cluster zones, kind of makes me interested to go visit them. I'm like, if
Oh,
I
yeah.
perish out there, at least I can find out what it was. That would be kind of cool.
As the pterodactyl rips your face off, you're like, I knew
Sure,
it.
man. I'd be like, I knew it. I knew it. The sky people came down for me. How sick, man. I wouldn't mind being a freaking barbecue at that point. As long as I get some confirmation, that'll be good.
Yeah. Okay. Next case, and this is probably the most famous, I would say, missing 411 case, is the case of Dennis Martin. So the disappearance of 6-year-old Dennis Martin in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park on June 14th, 1969, remains one of the most haunting and extensively investigated cases in missing 411 history. What makes this case particularly chilling are the multiple credible witness accounts of a, quote, hairy ape-like creature carrying a silent, motionless child through the dense Appalachian wilderness.
Oh my
Just
God.
moments, just moments after Dennis vanished from his family's view.
Dude, years into this, you were still trying to Bigfoot pill me. Come on.
I will never end, Chase. This will. We're gonna be 60, and I'm gonna be trying to Bigfoot pill you. All of the national forests will be cut down, and I'll still be telling you there's Bigfoot out there.
You know what? Respect. I do admire the dedication. So, you know what? Proceed.
So on the afternoon Dennis went missing, he was playing hide and seek with other children near their campsite at Spence Field when he seemingly vanished into the thin air within a 90-second window while his father's back was turned. The immediate search grew into one of the largest operations in national park history, involving hundreds of personnel, Native American trackers, and even classified military special forces units from Fort Bragg. So that's strange, right? Despite this unprecedented response, no trace of the boy was ever found. Despite FBI files remaining classified and the official case being closed as a wilderness accident, quote, wilderness accident, Dennis's family maintains he was taken by something unnatural. His father spent the rest of his life searching the mountains, convinced his son had been carried into the extensive cave systems beneath the Appalachians. Yeah, so the FBI files remain classified, even though they have solved it, saying it was a wilderness accident. Which is strange. And also, dog, I'm just going to say, cave systems in the Appalachians. How far-fetched, Chase, is it that whether it's a Bigfoot or a wild man crawled out of a cave and grabbed this poor boy? Huh?
You know, in theory, because we do have the giants that are living in Mount Shasta. So,
Right.
we got those guys just a little bit north of us.
Okay.
I'm almost thinking on this, if there is military involvement to an extent, because you were saying people from Fort Bragg, there is a military base up there, right?
Yeah, it's
Or
not the
like a
California Fort Bragg. There's a different one. But yeah,
oh,
it's
okay,
a
that is
huge
true.
military
Yeah,
base. Yeah.
yeah. That they have to know something, right? Like maybe not the people who have boots on the ground, but the higher ups, especially if the FBI is keeping this entire case classified.
Yeah.
They know that there was something there and they were trying to find it, and that's why they sent out people as well. Because, well, yes, it's sad that a 6-year-old child disappeared, but did they need to send the military there?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like it just seems like it's alluding to something greater.
It does. Yeah. Whether they thought maybe they thought, holy shit, there might actually be a Bigfoot, so they send out their people to try and find it, and then maybe they realized they looked stupid because they didn't find Bigfoot, and they're like, we're not letting this information get out that we actually thought it was real for a second. I
Oh
could
my
see
God.
that happening, right? You could see that happening.
You know, that's probably the more plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay, next entry. They always find the boots. This is referring to the strange reoccurrence of missing people having only their boots ever found, often under strange circumstances such as immaculate condition. They're often found clean, dry, and undamaged. Precise placement. Also, they appear deliberately positioned side by side, laces tied, or placed on rocks, rather than scattered by predators or decaying. Frequently, only one shoe is recovered, with its counterpart never found, even in smaller search areas. And sometimes they're found in areas already thoroughly searched or terrain the victim couldn't have reached, cliff edges, deep in the swamps, things like that. Just another strange thing that happens sometimes. Last entry on Tier 2 is also folded clothes. Unlike typical wilderness accidents where clothing might be torn, scattered, or removed haphazardly due to distress or animal activity, these cases involve garments found neatly arranged, sometimes folded, stacked, or placed with eerie precision. So this is just another weird thing. The cases often find folded clothes. It's like, why are you taking off your clothes? One, why are you folding them? Two, even paradoxical undressing. You're about to die of hypothermia, so you rip off your clothes because you feel hot. I don't think you're gonna fold them.
I
Folded
just think these
clothes in the
people are
middle.
courteous, man. What are you talking about? Just in
No,
the
dude.
middle of, you're getting your shit mauled or you're just freezing to death. You just want to do a quick dry clean to make sure everything is proper. You polish up your boots real quick, your sneakerhead. So,
Right.
hey, want to keep these things pristine. And sometimes it's just a little unfortunate. The fox goes and grabs one of your boots and carries it away. Okay, sure. Now you're only left with one. But whatever. At least I was
Yeah.
courteous in my final moments, cleaned up my boots, folded up my clothes, and I died in peace, man.
Yeah. At least you're like, okay, they'll probably never find me, but when the guys put this in evidence bags, at least my clothes will be nicely folded for them.
Right? And they'll be like, man, this guy was courteous. I like this one.
All right. We're now going beneath the water surface. Tier 3. First entry, time loss cases. So, sometimes victims who reappear after experiencing unaccountable gaps in time, periods where they have no memory of their disappearance yet return with strange physical or psychological changes. There's one really famous case of a guy who disappeared for like years and then came back and claimed he was still in the year he disappeared from. I do believe I have that one on our list. Uh, these time loss cases often share eerie similarities with UFO abduction accounts and paranormal lore, at least suggesting that certain wilderness areas may distort human perception of time. We're getting deeper into the surface here, so stranger things we're talking about. Time loss cases.
As soon as you started mentioning this, it made me think aliens.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely one of the theories going around.
But then
Uh,
again, you were saying some forest areas they have a higher probability of causing this. What if people are just getting high? Like they just breathed in some nice
uh,
mushroom spores, and for
maybe, yeah,
years they were just wandering that same little area, just fucking tripping off their ass. They finally wander out of it, and they're like, dude, 20 minutes have passed. It feels like 3 years. They have a full beard.
yeah.
Who knows,
I
man?
mean, that could, yeah, that sounds pretty plausible. Uh,
I
next,
appreciate you going with me on that, but
I mean, dude, these cases are so strange. I feel like that's not far fetched.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Next entry, Mount Shasta. Rising 14,179 feet in Northern California, Mount Shasta is more than just a mountain. It's a vortex of mystery and a disturbing number of missing 411 disappearances. It is a dormant volcano, fun fact, often shrouded in clouds that resemble UFOs, has been long associated with paranormal activity, interdimensional portals, and inexplicable vanishings. There was this fucking schizo crazy guy back in history who said that Mount Shasta housed, like, yeah, giant people. I forgot what he called them, but for some reason, even though we live very close to it, Mount Shasta is uh, the center of many cases. It is our sole case on the bottom tier, which should be fun to talk about. That is a very strange case. Uh, yeah, weird,
Well, I'm
right?
excited. Yeah, I think the dude, if I remember correctly, the guy that you were talking about that was claiming there were giants and stuff in Mount Shasta, he was also saying things like it was the opening or one of the portals to Hollow Earth. One of
Agartha.
the
He called
sections
it
there. Yep, there you go.
Agartha. Yeah.
There's that like stockpiles of gold and stuff like that, other valuables, and he was kind of going on and on about that. I think he tried to get an expedition team, and he maybe was successful. I can't quite remember, but then after not finding anything, everyone just kind of wrote him off as insane. And granted, that could be incorrect, but that was my recollection or vague recollection of that story.
What is it about Northern California that has all these mysteries? Because Bigfoot legend pretty much started in Northern California, at least for white people. Like the first big cases of seeing Bigfoot is in Northern California. Patterson Gimlin film was filmed in Northern California. We got Mount Shasta, Northern California. I'm sure there's other ones I'm not thinking of, but there's a lot. It's just weird. I don't know. Okay, next entry, Freedom of Information Act. So, David Paulides and other investigators have encountered alarming roadblocks when attempting to obtain files related to disappearances in national parks. For instance, when asking for a complete list of disappearances in national parks, Paulides was told it would cost him over $1 million. So, the Freedom of Information Act works where you submit, you want information free from the government so they can send you some cases and all that, and they tell you how much it's going to cost. If it's something small, it'll cost $1,000, but if it's something big, more and more money. And yeah, he was told it would cost over $1 million for all that information. So just another, if you want to get conspiracy with it, they're hiding information, right?
I mean, if we get popular off this video, let's start a GoFundMe, man. Why not?
Yeah.
If it's only $1 million, we can do that.
If we get a GoFundMe up to $1 million, we are snatching it and disappearing from public life.
Oh my god. Nah, dude, we gotta crack the case open. We gotta send that shit to the government only to get fully redacted files. Everything is just one headline blanked out, and you get like the every so often. And that'll be our $1 million worth of paper.
Okay. Next entry is the list. So the list is referring to the list of disappeared people allegedly held by the federal government and National Park Services that is being held from the public. Whether or not the cost of the list mentioned above is because the Park Service does not keep such a record is unknown. So the list is just this mythical thing of, giant resource where it has all of the information that David Paulides and all these researchers really want to get their hands on. It's like a beacon in the sky, the list. Somebody's got the list out there.
Yeah, it's the holy grail that they're after. Right?
Exactly.
And they just want to keep believing that it actually exists.
Right. Next entry, underground tunnels. So one of the most persistent theories in missing 411 research involves vast, unmapped underground tunnel systems beneath national parks and wilderness areas. So, for example, we just touched on it, Dennis Martin case we discussed earlier. Search teams actually reported hearing whistles and cries echoing from underground near where the boy vanished.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It really is. And his father believed Dennis was taken into the cave systems. I mean, the Appalachians is famous for having caves everywhere and coal mines everywhere. But there's also that image that kind of went viral on social media a few years ago that overlaid the missing 411 cases on the map to a map of known cave systems. And it's very linked up. So
I haven't actually seen that.
I'll put it in the video. You'll see it. So yeah, are the tunnels connected to these cases? Surely some of them. We don't know, but it's interesting to think about.
It definitely seems like there is some correlation there.
Yeah. Our third case we're discussing today is Charles McCullough. Charles McCullough was a 31-year-old on November 2nd, 1999. He went missing. He was an experienced outdoorsman and mechanic. Vanished without a trace during a solo hunting trip in the Ouachita National Forest in Arkansas. Some key details of the case. He was last seen near the Flatside Wilderness area, a rugged, remote region of the Ozarks. He parked his truck at a trailhead intending to hunt deer. And when he didn't return, his family reported him missing. Despite being a skilled woodsman, McCullough left behind critical gear, including his rifle and his truck, suggesting he didn't walk very far from his truck. Search teams scoured the area for weeks, finding no tracks, no scent trail, and no evidence of a struggle. Scent dogs did pick up his trail briefly before abruptly losing it. And a hunter later claimed to have heard gunshots the day McCullough vanished, but no bodies or spent shells were found. When David Paulides filed a Freedom of Information Act request for McCullough's case files, the National Park Service claimed no records existed despite the massive search effort that was underwent to look for him. And so this obviously mirrors a lot of other missing 411 cases where official documentation is lost or withheld. And so this case exemplifies many of the strange congruencies in missing 411 cases, such as he was an experienced outdoorsman, failed scent dogs, government secrecy. The area was even rich in quartz and crisscrossed by streams, if you want to get into the granite and water aspect of it. So yeah, this is just another strange case.
Gotcha. There are also some trees and some birds around. Also, surprisingly, some dirt too. So I mean, all those kind of tie together. Uh, I don't know. I hear experienced outdoorsman, but he supposedly disappeared very close to his truck, and he didn't take his rifle with him. Did he take any of like his camping gear or anything like that along with him? Because if I don't know. You also stated that the mechanic was, it sounded like his main profession, and being outdoors was probably a hobby. This might be the case of, hey, I went hunting a handful of times, so I'm an experienced outdoorsman.
Sure, but why leave your right? I assume he parked without intending to hunt. So he parked maybe to take a piss, and that's when something happened and he disappeared. Because obviously you didn't grab your rifle. You're not going off to go hunt. You can be this could be your first hunting trip ever. You're gonna take your rifle. That's the whole reason you're there.
Would make sense.
So who knows what happened to him? This was mostly in this tier because of Paulides trying to find the cases and being told there were literally no files.
Yeah, so that is strange.
Yeah.
Like, there would have to be some type of record of that, right? Especially because, like you said, they did a search on this guy. So there is some paper trail somewhere. They're just lying that it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Very strange. Okay, next entry is the third man factor. This is an interesting one. I hadn't heard this before researching this. The third man factor is a documented psychological phenomenon in which individuals in extreme distress, often lost, injured, or near death, report the vivid sensation of an unseen presence guiding, comforting, or even physically aiding them. While this phenomenon has been studied in survival psychology, its recurring appearance in missing 411 cases raises unsettling questions, like, are these invisible guides benevolent spirits? Or is this why people go missing, as they follow an invisible guide somewhere? Some examples of this is the disappearance of Geraldine Largay. He was a hiker lost in Maine's wilderness, wrote in her journal about hearing voices and feeling watched before she was found dead. So, hiker found dead, wrote in her journal that they found that she was hearing voices and feeling watched. Search teams later found her tent neatly arranged as if someone had been with her. So yeah, this is a strange thing. A lot of these cases, strange things. I don't know what to say about this.
That sounds creepy for that girl in particular. It sounds like she was being stalked. Especially, if the tent was neatly arranged afterwards, like somebody was with her, it sounds like she got murdered, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
As far as the third man factor, several people reporting that they feel there's somebody there helping guide them. Is that just Jesus taking the wheel? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah. Yeah, the third man factor is like a documented real world thing too. It's not just a theory for missing 411. It's like people in extreme survival cases just hallucinate a person going along with them. It's very strange.
That is very strange. I wonder if, and of course, I'll just random speculation here, if that is some type of like manifestation of your subconscious trying to process without all the external factors that while you are stressed, you have everything else going on. You are starting to hallucinate your best approximation of what to do in that situation. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
yeah,
really strange though.
it is. Yeah, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I feel like because it's good when you're trying to figure out a problem to bounce ideas off of someone, and so maybe your head's just like, I'll create someone. We'll just talk about
Maybe.
it through. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next entry is MK Ultra. Believe it or not, motherfuckers, we'll still talk about the CIA. We'll find any reason to talk about the CIA.
If we're not on a watch list already, we will be soon.
Hell yeah. One of the darkest conspiracy theories linked to missing 411 suggests that MK Ultra may still be active in remote wilderness areas using national parks as testing grounds for psychological operations, memory erasure for the time loss cases, or even targeted disappearances. Again, wacky theory. Just threw it on the list because it's interesting. Next entry, Phantom Rescuers. So, Phantom Rescuers is alluding to the cases where a person who is found alive tells of someone helping them escape their situation, only to find out that no one found them before. So, this is much like the third man factor, with the added phenomenon of seeing someone perceived to be a search and rescue helper. So, it's like, search and rescue's trying to find you. Your third man comes to help you and bring you to actual safety, but the third man is like a search and rescue person that isn't real.
I both like that and find that incredibly unsettling by the
Oh
same
yeah.
token. That's
Oh yeah, dude.
yeah, that's really strange.
Yeah. Next entry, military involvement. So we kind of touched on this with the Dennis Martin case. When he vanished in the Great Smoky Mountains, U.S. Army Special Forces were deployed, which was an extreme response. Sometimes witnesses report soldiers conducting nighttime operations with unusual equipment. And, no, sorry. During the Dennis Martin case, witnesses reported soldiers conducting nighttime operations with unusual equipment, and then rumors started that they were tracking something other than the boy, right? We talked about the hairy beast thing. This is just what witnesses reported, apparently. And no records of their mission there has ever been released. Obviously, they didn't tell anybody why they were actually there searching for him. Another thing is unmarked helicopters are sometimes seen in cluster zones. So, apparently, witnesses in missing 411 hotspots, Yosemite, or in Alaska even, report black helicopters with no insignia circling the area before or after disappearances. And in one case, a search and rescue team in Oregon was ordered to stand down by federal agents during a search, only for no such agents to be officially logged as helping the search. So there seems to be some shady stuff going on here with military involvement, or it's just witnesses making this up. I don't know. It seems to be pretty strange, though.
That absolutely confirms to me that they just know things that they are keeping from the public, which of course they do, right? But in cases like this, sending out military, I mean, sure, if you see the military come out with strange equipment that you're not familiar with, you probably aren't going to be familiar with it. So it doesn't mean that it's some type of specialized tracking equipment for ghosts or whatever, right?
Right, yeah.
You were probably just not familiar. However, to have no record of federal agents that are ordering the it wasn't the Park Service, was it? Who was it that they were telling to stand down?
A search and rescue team in Oregon. I don't know if it was
Gotcha.
Park Service or not. Might have been volunteers.
Well, still telling like search and rescue to stand down. They know that there's something out there and they are trying to find that first, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
That
maybe some weird test. Something like
could
that.
be. I don't
Yeah.
know. I love to think that there are anomalies and just random creatures that do really exist out there that they are trying to hide from us. Like
Like,
part of
yeah.
the back of my brain, I know that this is just completely unhinged and this is the schizo side of my family coming through. But I would love the SCP Foundation to
I
be a
was gonna
legitimate
say.
thing.
Yeah, it
Like,
sounds
how
like it.
fucking cool. Granted, terrifying, sure,
Terrifying.
with the implications of it. but still, that there are things that are beyond our own comprehension or that we have to be protected from just as a society. Otherwise, it would be like mass chaos. I think that's really freaking cool. And I kind
Oh
of
yeah,
hope that's real to an extent.
maybe, man, maybe. Okay, dude. By the way, I saw Maple walk behind you, and your camera unblurred her for a second, and it just looked like a crawling white mass. And
Oh my
I
god.
was like, I went like this. I was like, what was
The
that?
SCPs are coming for me. Oh no.
Oh,
That's so
dude,
funny.
I must be creeped out. Yeah, because like the way it unblurred, you'll see it in the video. The way it blurred her was kind of creepy.
Is she right
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Yeah, I
All right.
have her bed right there behind me, so she comes and kind of walks through every now and
Mm-hmm.
again.
Next entry is another case. I think this is our fifth case. Paul Fugate. Fugate? I don't know. On January 13th, 1980, Paul Fugate, a 41-year-old park ranger at Chiricahua National Monument in Arizona, vanished without a trace under highly suspicious circumstances. Some facts about the case is he was last seen on duty near the park's visitor center around 2:30 p.m. He told colleagues he was going on a short patrol hike, a routine task, but he never returned. His Park Service truck was found parked normally with no signs of a struggle. And a massive search involving helicopters, dogs, and 200 plus personnel found zero traces of him. Scent dogs picked up no trail, despite the dry Arizona terrain being ideal for tracking. And no personal items, hat, radio, flashlight, boots, were ever recovered. So this one is just strange because it's a 41-year-old park ranger who disappeared and not a single trace of him was ever found. That's pretty much
I
it.
throwing my hat in the ring for the guess. I think he just wanted to disappear. Like, I don't think that's super unlikely. If you have been a park ranger for a while, if you were familiar with, well, the outdoors, how things work, probably know how to mask your scent, especially if none of your belongings were left behind. It sounds like you just wanted to kind of drop off the face of the earth, which, respect, I totally understand.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
So
Oh,
that would be my guess. It's either that or aliens. Always aliens.
always aliens. Next entry is animal avoidance. So this is one of the funnest little mysteries of Missing 411 is the conspicuous absence of animal predation on missing individuals, even in regions teeming with predators like bears, mountain lions, and coyotes. So normally when a person dies in the wild, scavengers and carnivores kind of devour you, tear up your bones. Yet in many missing 411 cases, bodies are found fully intact with no signs of animal interference. Like we talked about earlier, there was no teeth marks on bones or anything like that. It's just another goofy part of this where when you do find remains, they're usually undisturbed from predation.
I this okay, hear me out. So, are the majority, if not all, of these missing 411s taking place in the US?
Yes. I think he's got
Yes.
one book about things around the globe, but most of it's, yeah, US.
I would
Or
be
maybe some in
very
Canada too.
okay. Well, since it's predominantly in the US, it kind of makes me think follow this train of thought. The bones or the animals don't want to eat the people who end up dying, right? That sounds strange at first. However, the people in the US have the highest obesity rates, which on the surface you think, okay, might make us more tasty. I understand. However, with the amount of preservatives and shit like that that is in our food, maybe when we die, the animals smell us and they're like, fuck that, dude. I'm not putting all those carcinogens in my body. And then they just leave us the fuck alone. That's why I'm wondering if for the cases around the world, if they do actually get eaten, continue the circle of life. But yeah, here in the US, they're like, you know what? That person's like 25% plastic and just fucking hopped up on GMOs. I'm good.
Yeah. Maybe, man. I don't know. It's very weird. Um, We're at our last entry already. I didn't realize this was going by so quick. In this last entry is another case. It's Brandon Lawson's case. And just a disclaimer, this one is iffy on whether or not it's missing 411 related. A lot of people say it is, but you'll see there's some details where it's like, nah, okay. But either way, this is a very mysterious case, so I'm going to go over it. And reminder, this is just the first half of our iceberg. A week from now, or a week and a half from when you see this video, will be the second half of this iceberg. So for the last entry of the first half, Brandon Lawson. Brandon Lawson left his home in San Angelo, Texas, around 11:30 p.m. after an argument with his girlfriend. I believe this was early 2000s. His truck ran out of gas near Highway 277, just outside Bronte, Texas. He called his brother Kyle for help then. Sounded fine, he just asked for some gas. He called his brother Kyle. But then, at 12:54, he made a disturbing 911 call. When Kyle arrived 30 minutes later, Brandon was already gone. Only his truck, keys, and phone remained. So the 911 call. The dispatcher struggled to understand Lawson's panicked, fragmented statements, but this is what he said. I'm in the middle of a field, just pushed some guys over. We're out here going towards Abilene on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. A guy chased me into the woods. Please hurry, I'm not talking to them. I totally ran into them. Oh God, there's one guy here. I accidentally ran into him. They're out here in the woods. Please hurry, I'm bleeding. The call then cut out abruptly, right? This is weird. Some listeners claim to hear gunshots or a scream in the background after that. Police and volunteers combed the area but found no blood, clothing, or footprints in the area, okay? Scent dogs lost Lawson's trail abruptly. No evidence of a struggle or evidence of other vehicles in the area was found, despite his claims of being chased. Another strange thing is his phone pinged a tower 10 miles away hours after his disappearance, but they found his phone in his truck. So his phone pinged a tower 10 miles away hours after he originally disappeared, but they already found his phone in his truck. Some audio analysts claimed to hear other voices whispering on the 911 call. And despite extensive searches, no remains of personal items were ever found. So again, this one's borderline missing 411. But just the fact that there was kind of no evidence of anyone else being at the scene where his truck was found. And his weird cell phone thing. It's just a strange little case. And some people were citing it as missing 411, some weren't. I looked into it, decided it was strange enough we'd throw it on here just because it's interesting. And that was Brandon Lawson.
That is really strange. What had me a little thrown off, he said I pushed some guys over.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what?
I'm in the middle of a field, just pushed some guys over. There's one
What?
car here. A guy chased me into the woods. He says, please hurry, I'm not talking to them. I totally ran into them. There's
What
one
does that
guy
even
here.
mean?
I accidentally ran into him. They're out here in the woods. See, that's the creepy part.
It sounds like
he's
a
like,
cult.
Yeah,
don't
dude,
know.
it sounds like I'm getting chills. Like going over it again because it's so strange, man.
I kind of want to listen to the audio on that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we might be able to find it. I didn't look. But then he says I'm bleeding, and they didn't find any blood in the area. Please hurry, I'm bleeding.
Yeah, that has
there's
all types of strange on it.
The only, it was kind of in the woods. He's out there in the woods and he ran into people. Could be related to missing 411. Maybe it's like a cult of people that disappear you in the woods. Maybe. Who knows?
As far as not finding blood, though, I mean, how easy is it to find blood in a forest? Like, granted, I'm not talking about a giant pool of blood, you
Mm,
just halfway got drained out, but maybe his hand was cut a little bit. Maybe he was bleeding. Only a few drops of blood. If it soaks into the ground, I mean, are you really going to be able to see that all that well? Granted, I don't know the level of distress that he was talking in as far as being able to possibly determine if he got shot in the stomach or something, or if it was a minor injury. Who knows? But
true, yeah, but he's also like yelling, "I'm bleeding," so you would think it'd be kind of
okay,
serious.
fair enough. So yeah, if he was yelling that, in that case, that would make sense. That it seems a little more serious.
Or maybe he thought he was bleeding a lot because of all his adrenaline and it wasn't that much. That's possible too, you know.
Could be.
But
But
yeah,
who's he not talking to? And who did he
I
push
know.
over? Just doing like cow tipping in a field with people. I
I'm
I don't
not
know, man.
talking to them. Please hurry. I'm not talking to them. I totally ran into them. It seems like yeah, dude. Maybe he found some sort of crime happening out there, whether it's like a big time drug deal or something, and they're like holding guns, but they're like, "Come here, let's just talk, let's just talk," and he starts running. I'm not talking to them, something like that. And then maybe they shoot at him. He gets like winged or something. Yeah. Anyways, so this was the first half of the missing 411 iceberg. If I didn't put something, well, maybe actually save that because I got the second half coming up, and there's some other fun things in there that if you feel like I missed something about missing 411, there's a good chance it's in the second half. But let us know what you thought. If you like missing 411, maybe we'll do some deep dives on some other cases. We've got more cases coming up, especially the last one. I think you'll find pretty interesting. Other than that, this was our missing 411 iceberg part 1. And any other thoughts, Chase?
No, I think we covered a good portion of it. Yeah, I'm excited to see what we have in part two as far as, well, all the other mysteries, and especially that last one that you're telling me about. It seems like there's quite a bit to that, so
Yeah,
fingers crossed it's going to be juicy.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.